Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe from Joe Plays Games. I wanted to take some time to talk about the future of the channel going forward. I took some time to consider all of my options, and I've decided to continue uploading videos. At this point in time, I don't know how feasible it would be for me to upload daily like I've been doing, but I'll try my best. The plan going forward is this. I plan on restarting a series for Rome Total War, and I will try to get multiple parts of that series out a week. Right now I'm thinking Sunday and Tuesdays, but that could always change. On Thursday and Saturday, I'll have a new series for Fallout 4. I have plans for the series, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that in a bit. As for the rest of the schedule, which would be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those slots are open for now, so I have a few games that I could put in there, but at this point I don't know if I'd want them to necessarily be long-term series. And also, I'm going to talk about what I'll do to prevent a situation like this in the future. But for now, let's talk more in depth about what you can expect for each series. With Rome, I'll be planning on playing as the Scipii. Now, the Scipii are one of the 3 Roman factions in the game, and in my opinion, they have one of the most challenging Roman campaigns in the game. I'm very familiar with how to play as them effectively, and at the very least it should be a little bit more interesting than just watching Phalanx troops stand around and have enemies charge at their spears. My reasoning behind this are as follows. I'm choosing to play as a Roman faction this time around because if you're a first-time player, these are the only factions available to you from the start, and those factions are the Julii, the Brutii, and the Scipii. Now, the only way you unlock all the other factions is either by defeating them all in the campaign or by getting a win condition, whether that be on a short campaign or a long campaign. I decided against playing as the Julii because although they get an easier campaign, that's also the reason why I decided not to play as them. Now, the main factions that you would expect to see in the Julii campaign would be Gaul, Germania, and Britannia, and maybe Spain in there too, but they're a minor faction. The Western barbarian factions are very similar to each other. They aren't cookie-cutter factions like the Romans, but they still have very similar looks, strategies, and troop compositions in their armies. As far as I'm aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that the barbarian factions actually cannot upgrade their walls past wooden walls. If they can, I've never seen it happen, and in my opinion, wall fighting is actually what makes city siege battles more interesting to watch. Ultimately, that's why I decided against playing as the Julii. Now, I had some thoughts about playing as the Brutii. There are plenty of reasons why I would want to play as them. They have a rather challenging campaign, marching eastward, towards all the Greek-style factions of Macedon, the Greek cities, the Seleucid Empire, as well as the Egyptians, the Eastern-style factions like Pontus, Parthia, Armenia, as well as the Eastern barbarian factions of Scythia, Dacia, and Thrace. Now, that is a very big, diverse pool of opposing factions that could make the game interesting. But a reason why I decided against playing as the Brutii is because a YouTuber that I watch regularly, called Many a True Nerd, has done a full Brutii campaign. And if you're interested in checking out his entire playthrough of that, if you haven't seen it already, it's actually very good. You can go to his channel and check it out. Now, as much as I love playing as the Brutii, I don't want to do the exact same series that John did. I respect him and the work that he does, and I've tried to model how I present myself and my videos in a similar fashion to how he does his videos. I'm a really big fan of his, and I probably wouldn't be doing YouTube videos today if it were not for him to be my inspiration. In a nutshell, that's why I decided to not play as the Brutii. Which brings us back to the Scipii. The Scipii are interesting because they have a campaign where they take on most of North Africa, which means we would be going up against the Carthaginians, Numidians, and then eventually the Egyptians. I've never done a Scipio campaign, but from what I understand, I'll have to rely on naval units more than I normally would, because I'd have to keep shipping armies across the Mediterranean to Africa. I believe that the Scipii have access to the best naval units in the game too, so by the end we should have naval dominance over the Mediterranean. Hopefully, that would make the eventual Roman civil war a little bit easier after, being able to block up ports at will. I've never done a full campaign as the Skippy, so it would be a new experience for me. So I'm actually kind of excited to get started on that one. Alright, let's talk about Fallout 4 now, because that itself is going to be a pretty big challenge for me. I've played Fallout 4 a lot since it came out. I have somewhere around a combined 300 plus hours played, split between both my Xbox and my PC. I know the game rather well, but I've never done a full playthrough of the main quest and the DLC in survival mode. I've played survival mode a bit, but not too seriously. I have a starting plan of what I could do for that, and a general blueprint for how I'll plan to grow my character, but apart from that, I'm just going to be taking a let's see how this goes approach. I don't know if I'll make it a permadeath series, meaning that if I die, the series is over. That might be a little too much of a challenge for me, but I'll be doing everything possible anyway not to die, because having to replay large portions of the story and gameplay wouldn't be great from a viewer's perspective. As for right now, due to the fact that I still don't have editing software, I won't be able to cut those parts out. As a way to combat this, I'll be trying my best to keep the parts to around 10 to 15 minutes long. That way, if I die near the end of a part, I can just redo it off camera. The only problem that I foresee right now is saves. I'll go more in depth in explaining how the save system works in the survival mode in the Fallout 4 series, but I'm going to have to change the way that I approach playing the game because of it. Okay, now let's talk about our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday slots. And as I said, I'm not too sure what I wanted to do with these days. I know I mentioned that I have Tomb Raider and Dying Light, and those could be some interesting series to have on the channel. I've actually done a full playthrough for Tomb Raider on my Xbox 360, but obviously it's been a while, so it would be nice to revisit that game. And as for Dying Light, I've only played small portions of that game, and I think I've played maybe an hour or two in the main story, and that's about it. So that game is rather fresh to me too. I'm actually interested in the parkour mechanic in that game. It adds a certain verticality to the game that allows for more creative ways to travel through the environment. And I haven't decided which game gets which day just yet, and it might just come down to which one I'm feeling on that particular day. I don't want to favor one over the other, so I think I would have to think of something for Friday too, because that's leaving my Friday slot open. So let's go ahead and talk about Fridays. Now, my Friday slot is probably going to be a tough decision for me. Initially, I was thinking of doing The Long Dark and just start a solo sandbox file to see how long I could survive, but I feel the survival mechanic in that game is pretty similar to how it would be for Fallout 4, and I don't want too much of the same content on the channel. I kind of ran into that problem with the Outlast and the Resident Evil 7 series. They were much too similar, and they didn't do particularly well. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not upset that they didn't do well. I want to put up content that people want to watch. And if people aren't watching the videos I put up, that tells me I need to go back to the drawing board and see what isn't working and what I can do instead. I had thoughts also about bringing back State of Decay, but again, I'll have Dying Light on the channel, and I don't want too much zombie games up at the same time. Now, out of all of the games that I have right now on my PC that would fit into the category of being something different, as well as not a game that already has a series, and as you can see by this list of games that I have up here, are Final Fantasy VII, PUBG, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and The Witcher 3. Now, Final Fantasy VII would be a good candidate for me to have on the channel. I would approach it similarly to how I did Final Fantasy VIII, doing the voice acting for all the characters and stuff like that. PUBG is on this list purely because I haven't done a PUBG video in a while. I don't know how likely it will be that PUBG comes back on the channel, but it's always an option. Finally, the last two choices that I have are, and they have the highest likelihood of becoming the next series on the channel, are both Knights of the Old Republic 2 and The Witcher 3. Now, both KOTOR 2 and The Witcher 3 are huge RPGs that I've never fully played before. So, I mean, The Witcher is more action-oriented compared to KOTOR, but I'm going to give myself time to consider these options. And before I end this video, I wanted to talk about what you can expect this upload schedule to start, and what I plan to do to prevent something like this from happening again in the future. With it being Saturday, that's usually when I do most of my recordings. If this video seems more prepared than what I usually put out, it's because it is. I actually typed up a script listing every point that I want to talk about. I made up this slideshow too that you're watching right now. All of that took time, and I don't know how much recording I'll be able to get done with the rest of my time today. I'll get done what I can and upload what I have. The two options that I have are I can record one part for each game if I have the time, and then get them uploaded accordingly, or what I can do is I can record a few parts of 2 or 3 games, upload them when I can, and slowly work my way back to the full planned upload schedule. We'll see. I don't know what I'll be able to get done. It's just a matter of what I can do with my time today. And finally, I'd like to address what I'll do going forward to prevent a situation like this from happening again. When I realized what happened the other day, I was in shock. I don't know if you could tell if you saw my update on April 11th, but I honestly was at a loss for words. To prevent something like this again, I plan to take a look into scheduled releases. Now, what that means is I can upload the video to YouTube, but I could choose when to set when it publishes and becomes public. So I'll record the video and then immediately upload it, and then set it to upload on a scheduled date. So that way I'm not sitting on 60 videos in my hard drive waiting to be uploaded and then risk them being accidentally deleted. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I lost 60 videos. I was literally 2 months prepared in advance for all of my series, and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't consider quitting then and there. What made me want to keep going is that I spoke to a friend of mine, and he told me that I shouldn't let this setback stop me from doing this. And he was right. This is a minor setback. We can come back from this, because it's not just me here. Sure, I'm doing this as a hobby for me, but I wouldn't still be doing this if it wasn't for you. You watch my videos whenever you can. It's people like Geordie and Steph and Tyler and Sarah and Carly and Kat, Puff Pride and Wrath's Blood, just to name a few. You guys have subscribed to me. You all watch my videos when you can. I never stopped appreciating you all. As far as I'm concerned, I do YouTube for 3 reasons. I do it for fun, I do it because of the games, and I do it for you, the viewer. I know my content isn't the best. I know I probably won't ever crack 1 million subscribers, and I don't care about that. I said this from day one. I'm doing this for fun. I don't care about subscriber or view counts. I don't care about like to dislike ratios. I'm never going to monetize my videos. That's not what I want out of this. I'm doing this for you. So I just wanted to say, thank you.